All right, we are good to go.
And hold on.
Gosh darn it.
What
Ah!
happened?
Oh, no, just like, I said we're good to go, and then you said, hold on.
Okay.
It
No,
just,
I'm fine. I'm fine.
I know, I'm just saying.
Okay, so uh we weren't supposed to start with this subject. I didn't think we were supposed to get I didn't think we were going to get into this subject like this early to
That's
start
okay.
because what we were supposed to do is a project encapsulating everything that happened in 2016.
Everything.
Well, not everything, but like the highlights, quote unquote.
The best of the worst, like if you were to have, okay, you know how shows, really popular ones, will sometimes release the audition tapes of the people who made the show? Like they release some of the auditions for the cast of Game of Thrones.
Right.
This is more like if we had a reel of all the rejects.
Mm-hmm.
The bad ones, like the really bad ones.
And because this year has been a pile.
It's been appalling.
Very. And I figured, why not talk about all those events that have happened? Like, to give an example, Harambe.
I think it's Harambe.
Harambe?
Yeah, and you want to know something interesting? I wish I could remember exactly what his name means when translated to English.
Mm-hmm.
But it means something along the lines of uniting everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's what they meant. Here, let me see if I can find it real quick, because I don't want this to not be given the justice it deserves.
Okay.
Which I'm still kind of upset by the whole thing that happened.
With Harambe?
Harambe, yeah. Yeah.
A lot
Like-
of people are, maybe.
Like I kind of understand what they meant, but shooting at him while he has a child with live rounds is more likely to get the child killed, I think, than them shooting him with tranquilizers. Now, I can understand the fact that doing so might anger Harambe, or just a gorilla in general, and that might cause him to do something. But I really don't think they considered it at all. They just decided to go for the kill.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
I would talk further, but we are not here to discuss Harambe.
I know.
Because that's another video. But that was one of the examples. That was one of the examples. Like I've been making that list of things. Also the celebrity deaths and everything. Mm-hmm. And as I told Ben, the crown jewel that I think would top off the year would be the elections. Mm-hmm. Just how.
Oh, it means working together, pulling together, helping each other. Go on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's ironic.
I know. Considering this year and everything that happened.
That's ironic.
It kind of is.
And
it's a very tragic coincidence.
Especially for
what just happened.
Yeah. See, the plan was not to cover the election just yet. That was going to be later because it was, like I said, the crown jewel.
Uh-huh.
And
it was
the other thing.
It was the diamond in the rough.
Right. Because this has been like the shit pile that's pretty much everyone's been talking about. And
that gallon of bleach is calling my name.
Oh, don't drink it. But the reason I also thought, like, and we're about to get into it.
Yeah.
The reason I didn't think I'd be doing it this early, this part, is, or who knows when this will get released. Are you going to release this immediately?
Maybe not immediately, but maybe in the morning.
Okay.
Oh, I guess I'll let you decide if you want.
No, it's up to you. But, the reason I, thought maybe this would be later because I didn't expect Donald Trump to win.
Yeah.
I really thought this would be...
A shoo-in?
No, not a shoo-in, but just kind of boring to watch.
Oh, yeah, I think everybody had that mentality. Even the news cycle was saying how boring it was in the beginning, and then it started getting worse.
Yeah. I think immediately, I think Donald Trump had, 60 points to her 3 at the beginning.
Yeah.
And that was oh, okay. But I wasn't panicked that much because I was well, it usually always start off this way. I remembered the Romney election. Mm-hmm. It started off sort of like that.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine who, well, we'll not get into that, but she's a subconscious racist, it turns out. Go figure.
Oh,
yeah,
great.
she's not aware how prejudiced she is because she genuinely thinks she's open-minded, but she's really not, and I'm concerned. Anyway, she was bragging and saying, "Ha, he's in the lead by however much it was." I'm like, well, of course he's in the lead right now. All the racist states are closing their polls early,
right,
to keep the minorities from voting.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't say they weren't trying because they had lists saying the best way. I'm paraphrasing. The best way to keep minorities from voting is essentially the name of their plan. The voter ID laws and everything to enforce them was specifically targeting African American and Latino voters.
Especially when Latinos, let's just say they're day laborers and stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Or they get out pretty late.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at that point, they're too tired to go.
Or if it's like everywhere, they close too early for them to go vote.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't take a day off from work because...
Oh, that's impossible.
Yeah. Well, because unlike the white man, we actually care about, our job.
Yeah.
Even if it's something like that. You take pride in your work no matter what it is. Be proud of what you do. Even if everyone else is looking down at you.
Mm-hmm.
My heart goes out to all the people working in fast food.
Yeah.
I would say they're the only ones that have it worse than retail.
Yeah.
Unless you're a cashier.
Even then.
It's kind of a toss-up.
Yeah. And, now, just aside,
mm-hmm.
I didn't think the Electoral College would be...
as bad. What
was that?
I don't know. Because so many of them were saying they would never vote for Trump in public,
right.
on the record. And then they went in and they voted for Trump in the Electoral College. And I was talking to my mom last night before I got off of work because, she was freaking out. I mean, who wasn't? Well, rational, intelligent human beings. No, I'm joking. Anyway, we were talking and we were afraid because the Electoral College was our only hope.
Right. I think I know it's on Facebook too, or I've sent a text or something to you.
Yes.
I was like, do you see what this means? We actually need the Electoral College to bail us out.
Yeah. And then they completely backstabbed us after sucker punching us in the gut while kicking us in the testiculars.
And okay... this will actually go to one of the topics then. Hold on.
Yeah. No, go ahead. I'm good.
It's the part where whether or not could actually be a good thing in the long run by dismantling any of the old system or whatever, or slash and burning it. And
that is a great segue. Thank you.
And honestly, now that we've talked about that part where it's the Electoral College itself that voted Donald Trump in.
Because the popular vote, she ended up winning. Yeah, but it was
small.
Yeah, it was
small,
not. It was not nearly as much as it should have been.
And
Darn you, Gary Johnson! You almost ruined it for us in the popular vote.
but okay, but it. But you see that popular vote, it told us that for sure. Like, okay, despite what the Electoral College was saying, that it was half of America didn't want him in and half did.
Right.
It wasn't like the Electoral College where he pretty much just swept.
Right.
But see, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're the ones who I'm talking about. Whether, like, and other people are also talking about, like, well, this will teach us to, like, better structure the system now, or to make it better for the next election. But it's the Electoral College itself that ended up screwing us over. So
again,
knowing they didn't go with something that was like the same thing. It wasn't. They didn't pick something that was just like a cog in the whole thing. They instead chose a wild card. Why?
My biggest concern is we've got a Republican, quote unquote, president with a Republican-controlled House and Senate.
So maybe the Electoral College did it purely for like
the. They basically took over the entirety of our government as it
stands. It really did feel like the Revenge of the Sith.
Yes,
like,
that's exactly what it was.
It felt very much like that.
Yeah. I am not going to be surprised if 2 years down the way he finds a way, or somebody finds a way, whether they use him as a puppet or he actually does it, but to strip away the powers of the House of Representatives, at the very least.
Or to execute emergency chancellor powers.
Yeah, I think that's actually a thing we can do.
Could we do it with Obama?
I don't know. I think if he were to declare a state of emergency for the entirety of the nation, the powers wouldn't transfer over until after that had lifted, like, martial law. So, I guess if we could get enough Trump supporters to take some of their meth and just explode out of their trailer parks, we could declare it a national disaster.
See, I was going to try to be fair.
well, now, that's not to say, like, the Democratic Party is any better.
What was that?
The Democratic Party is not really much better. They're not doing that kind of stuff. They're more like the types that are stealing their grandparents' medication to get high, as opposed to accidentally blowing themselves up making meth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to seem like I'm taking favorites, but let's face it. Right now, the Republicans are the bigger problem.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. Maybe I wouldn't make, in me, and maybe everyone else wouldn't make such a big deal that Donald Trump had won if it weren't for the fact that they're now controlling the House and the Senate.
Yeah, it would be different if, that weren't the case.
Because, at that point, I'm like, well, this really sucks.
Yeah, and my dad was saying, but he was saying how most of the people, the Republicans, hate him, so it's not like he'll get anything done. And I want to rebuttal, but you don't do that to your dad.
Right.
The thing is, they voted him in.
Right.
He's probably going to go, or he's going to put, or allow laws and such things to go through that he may actually agree with. We don't know, because he hasn't really said anything worth saying in this regard. But the fact that they have any sort of ideology that kind of lines up, it just shows, like, there is no real checks and balance in this situation.
Right.
And while I'm grateful for some of the changes in the seatings of the House of Representatives and the Senate, we have a few people of color, one courageous young woman. Well, I guess well, young compared to all the old white men.
Right.
Being there and actively encouraging us to continue to fight because it's not over yet, not by a long shot. We just need to remember that. To continue fighting. She's basically our Padme in this thing, and we've got to make sure she doesn't meet the Anakin.
Okay, so how do I approach the subject?
There's a lot of Star Wars.
References.
In this because it is
illusion.
scary. It is very scary.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Because this was one of the things that I was thinking about, like, okay, how did this happen? But more or less, how did we get Trump to actually be
the nominee?
Yeah, the nominee.
Well, I think Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert and even Trevor Noah and a few others that are on quote-unquote legitimate news shows have kind of gone over it. The biggest parallel, I would say, oddly enough, in this situation is actually still Star Wars. This is basically the whole vote of no confidence in Chancellor Valorum that allowed Palpatine to become the new Supreme Chancellor and then work to undermine the Senate and take over the galaxy. But the real life equivalent, and it's scary to think about because it's gotten as far as it has and even farther than it should have that we even imagined it could be. But this almost perfectly mirrors Hitler's rise to power. If you take a step back and you look at everything. Like, I know that everyone says that the other side's presidential candidate or president-elect or what have you is the next Hitler, but there is no denying that his...
the way he composed himself,
yes,
and he said things.
Yeah, everything about his campaign to him winning was exactly the same as what happened with Hitler.
It's about scapegoating another group of people.
It's about preying on those fears and prejudices.
And like, sure, there was people that are maybe still feeling the effects from like probably the Bush parts, like where a lot of jobs are gone or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, though there are talks about like the recession being gone, I don't fully think it's. Yeah, I don't fully think it's gone.
We've stitched it up, but it's still bleeding.
Mm-hmm. And that was always going to be something that took a while.
Yeah.
And we here in America are always a group of people that want change, or we want solutions now.
Yeah. We want that immediate self-gratification, even if it shoots us in the foot later.
And maybe part of that also came with why, because he kept promising a lot of things.
Yeah, we'll go back to the old days, the days where, nostalgia makes you think they were better than today, even though objectively we are safer now than we have ever been. We live longer. We have greater access to technology, obviously, and medicine and information. Never before have we had, the massive amounts of sharing in terms of information. But at the same time, we have never been more, shall we say, backwards.
Yeah. Well, there's always people that are gonna fight.
Yeah, I was kind of joking with my mom yesterday, saying, if only more of these older white people had passed away sooner, we might not be in this situation right now.
They might in 4 years.
Yeah, but I don't mean like the average voter or anything like that. I mean like in our government, those guys.
Yeah, those. Yeah.
They need to hurry up and check out.
Oh, that was the one thing that I'm just remembering. The one thing that I actually agreed with Trump about, like putting limits to how long you can serve.
I feel like
And,
that's a good idea,
yeah,
but I want to
I
throw
didn't
up.
like the fact that it was him
Yeah,
who pointed it out.
well, I mean, Bernie said some similar things, but
Yeah.
which one of them do you think would be more likely to actually do that?
Yeah, it would probably be Bernie.
I miss him. When the
Yeah.
world needed him most, he vanished.
I have a guilty conscience. I voted for him in the primary.
Now, I was talking to my friend Josh yesterday at work, and we agree, and as much as it pains us, we agree that he probably would not have won the Democratic nomination.
Mhm.
But this kind of ties into what you mentioned earlier that's on your list. If Hillary had not worked with the DNC to actively sabotage his campaign,
Mhm.
she wouldn't have blown up her base voters as badly as she had,
Mhm.
and it would have saved us all a lot of heartache.
Right. I mean, for sure. And there's also people criticizing this kind of thinking, and I don't. Yeah, if Bernie was able to run against Trump, I think. Yeah, he might have won.
I really think he would have.
Because I didn't really. The bad things I've heard about Bernie is just that he was too idealistic for some of the things that he wanted.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I was one of those people that said that's very idealistic.
Yeah, absolutely.
However, that didn't stop me from voting for him.
Because even if he only could do half of what he said he wanted to do, that would be more than we would have gotten otherwise. You know?
Mm-hmm. And, ooh.
Oh, but before I forget, like, I was watching on the news, and I think this is really what set the stage for everything. Is that this was urban America versus rural America, and there was just too much there where they felt like they had lost this country. They had lost their livelihood. They lost their jobs.
Yeah.
They lost all this stuff. And he came along and said, we're going to get this back. We're going to take it back from them. It's their fault. It's not yours, which again is exactly what he did. And that's why they rallied. I mean, if the KKK is openly endorsing you and patrolling polls, or not polls.
He didn't admonish that. That's
that was awful. But if they're actively policing the polls so that minorities can't vote under the guise of, we're trying to make sure there's no voter fraud, then it kind of shows you how messed up this country was all along. Mm-hmm. Like, all these people came out of the woodwork that we thought were gone. You know, all these ideas that are from another generation, another time, that have no place in this country. And it turns out to have never left. Or
it was always kind of there.
I mean, it was always there, but we never dreamed it was as bad as it turned out to be in this election. I was shocked.
I think by maybe 10 o'clock.
Yes.
I gave up.
Yeah, I think about 9 o'clock. That's when me and Andrew started saying, even if Hillary wins, like, we had already resigned ourselves to the fact that she had lost, and we were just barely hoping on, or grabbing on to that hope that she might be able to pull it out. But it was terrible.
But definitely, if she had won, America has already kind of shown a very ugly side to it.
Yes.
Just how close if she had won, just by how close she.
Yeah, no, they never would have let it go. Like, if we thought what happened with President Bush back then, it would have been nothing compared to what they would have done. My one friend, I was talking about her earlier, she, her boyfriend's family is very much pro-Trump, and I guess that's where all this is coming from. But she seems to genuinely believe that Hillary Clinton was a part of the New World Order. And I had to explain to her, like, you realize she's a woman and therefore would not be a part of it because she's a woman.
Right.
And also, if she were, she would have won a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. I remember there was a picture going around Reddit of Newsweek releasing Hillary Clinton's road to the White House, or like how she got to the White House or something, and people were like, see, it is rigged, little knowing that stuff like that is usually done ahead of time.
Yeah, they always do that.
Yeah, they always do that just in case, whichever. And I guess just to go back to that picture, it was like, well, now do you feel like the election is rigged?
Well, I mean, it was rigged, but it was rigged against Bernie Sanders back then. And she basically rigged it thinking it was for her, but she rigged it against herself in the actual election. And I keep saying, like, if she had not alienated her biggest supporters, that is to say Democrats as a whole, because that's what she did. She divided it in half. She basically did the exact same thing Trump did with the Republican Party. The only difference is they were already in power, so they came together to keep it. And she came in, torpedoed the Democratic base, and it just could not recover because of what she did. And then I'm getting really tired of people like saying stuff about her emails, which I think is another thing you had on your list.
Yeah.
The emails really have nothing at all to do with the election. They just keep getting brought up because I mentioned this to my brother, not Adam.
Joseph.
Yeah, and I said, okay, the whole thing with her emails, because, you know, that was the first thing he said, like, you shouldn't vote for her, you should vote for Trump because he's better. And I looked at him like, what? And while what she did was morally gray, it wasn't technically illegal. And I said, you know, it's this weird kind of gray area. And he looks at me like he was about to punch me, and he said, well, in the military, there is no gray area. Either you broke the law or you didn't. And I'm like, are you kidding me? There's nothing but gray areas.
Yeah, that is a gigantic gray area.
Yeah. I mean, all those people, I mean, I love President Obama. He did a lot of good for the country. But more people, more innocent people have died to drone strikes than in any other presidency where they have drones available to them.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's not morally gray at best, or worse, depending on, I guess, how you should look at it, I'm not sure. Or the sheer number of sexual assault and rape that goes on in our military.
Yeah.
And instead of the perpetrators getting arrested and sent to prison, they have the victim be shipped out and sent somewhere else so that they don't cause problems. If you can't call that morally gray at best or at worst, again, I'm not sure which would be better to say, then there's something wrong with you as a human being. But you can't say that because, you know, he's my brother. You can't say something like that to your family.
Right.
But he's actually a terrible person, it turns out. I told him, like, okay, even ignoring all that, everything he said and done in regards to Trump, how would you like it if he did that to our mother or our sisters? And he looked at me and he yelled, and keep in mind we're in public and our mom is right here next to us, and I don't know why he was getting so angry at me.
Aww.
Yeah, I know. I was feeling so bad, but every time he said something, he'd ask me a question and I'd have to answer, and then he'd get mad that I'd have an answer. Anyway, he said, but he hasn't done anything like that, is what he went. And I'm like, are you kidding me? He's confessed to it. He brags about it. We've caught him doing it. There are countless women, I'm sure, out there that are afraid to say anything, especially now. And there are so many women before that were trying to bring this to light. And then the fact that his previous wives, there's a gag order on them, so they can't say anything about their time being married to him.
You can do that?
No, he can, because he has that kind of money.
Oh, Jesus.
Like if she hadn't signed the agreement, she has to pay him a lot of money in order to make up for that. And so it was darned if you do, darned if you don't. And
I have a question.
yes.
Is he the first president who's had multiple wives?
Well,
At least during his presidency, he's already...
well, that's a good question, and I think the answer is no. But if it's no, it's because their wives died and they remarried.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that wasn't a fair question then.
Yeah, I really don't think, like, most of them, they wouldn't get a divorce because it's unseemly. Like, even today, it's still not considered acceptable.
Right. That's what I was asking. Is like
Yeah.
usually there's I guess there's a need for the president to be seen as wholesome with
Yeah.
a
That's why they wigged out so badly with Clinton, which is bizarre because with President Kennedy, they didn't care. The press, they said, "Oh, you know, boys will be boys," and they ignored it because it wasn't worth reporting back then. Like, there was a certain amount of decorum that the press had and that we don't have today, which I think is a major contributor to Trump winning at all. Is how much money in free airtime did he get on the news? Over $1 billion? Over $1 billion worth, I think.
What also bothered me was just like switching it over.
Yeah.
Republicans really didn't have any other good nominee with them.
No, they didn't have any. And what bothered me most about that is the whole time where it looked like he was going to win, they knew what they had to do, which was basically, I forget what it's called, like a contested vote or something, where no one candidate gets, or potential nominee gets enough of the votes, and so they have to redo the whole thing again, which was what they said they were going to do back when Rubio was still in the running. And then not even 3 days later, he drops out. And then I think by the end of it, it's just John Kasich and Ted Cruz, and they both dropped out within a day of each other, I think. Mm-hmm. Even though they were this close and they were taking enough from the vote that they might have, gotten that contested vote, and they didn't do it. They cared more about their, I guess, political pride or something.
Right.
Because Rubio dropped out because he didn't want to lose his home state of Florida.
Right.
Or, I think it was Florida. I don't remember. And just Cruz is Cruz and Kasich is Kasich, and just they would not stop ruining things for themselves. Chris Christie is
a joke.
Yes, he's a horrible excuse for a politician, and he's...
I don't know why he keeps running.
I don't know why he...
Because it never seems like anyone really likes him.
Nobody does, and... Like, did you see the thing where he introduces Trump after waiting for however long, and then Trump comes out and immediately goes up to him and tells him to go home?
Oh, I think I remember seeing that.
Yeah. Like, that just shows how much of a joke he really is. And that's basically what the entire election amounted to, is that.
One cruel joke.
I genuinely want to believe that this is just God testing our faith.
It might be. Like, okay,
But I'm afraid. What if I'm not strong enough?
Because there's a lot of people. Where do I go from this? Because we'll get the list.
Yeah, good idea.
Okay, this is one. Because this is like maybe. Okay, going back to the emails.
Yeah.
Did they eventually cripple her election?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. They didn't, but people used them to cripple her, which I feel is a distinction. Because
you're right.
Yeah. Oh, these emails, new emails, more emails, these emails, and nothing came about of it. I was telling my brother because we were talking about these too. Like, she's been investigated by the FBI, amongst others, over 10 times.
The actual Bureau of Investigation.
And they found nothing to tie her to criminal activity. And he's like, where are you getting this information? And I'm like, the military!
From the actual government itself.
The information they gleaned from everything, after going through everything, they found that she was not responsible. She did not do anything illegal. Like, that was another thing. The whole thing with Benghazi, it wasn't her fault. She was just in charge at the time, and so she was used as a scapegoat. What had happened was the Republicans' fault. And I keep telling this to people because no one ever seems to know, or if they do know or found out about it, they don't care and they still blame her. The reason they were underprepared and so much of a tragedy happened was because the Republicans had denied her the funding to up security at the embassy. And that's why so many people died and that happened. But because it was their fault, they knew that they could get away with blaming her because she was, quote unquote, in charge.
Okay, so it is a distinction. The emails themselves weren't. It was just. But the reason I mentioned this is because it happened so close to the election that there was no breathing room from it.
Yeah, I think I forget who it was that said, like, they should have either done it sooner or waited 3 days, because all those people that voted while like she was investigation, like, she tanked quite a bit in the polls after that, and it never really leveled back up.
Because there was a point where even Texas was kind of in this weird situation. But
yeah, I won't say the emails themselves crippled her, but the people believing like that was the smoking gun did.
For sure, it was done on purpose.
Yeah, no, they absolutely.
Like, it was the reason they started investigating so close to the election is purely to get situation.
Yeah.
And
the American people ate it up.
But okay, a different topic.
Okay, sure. I'm so sad.
I'm actually really sad too.
It still doesn't feel real.
Right.
Like, how can we go and enjoy a Wonder Woman movie when it comes out, knowing that history could have been made, and we decided, you know what, beep that noise.
Yeah, it's coming out next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's I think the biggest slap in the face to basically all our hopes and dreams. Like, the first female superhero movie should have been coming out after we had the first female president, and it's coming out after the first possible female president was basically told, you're a woman, we don't trust you, get out. Because that's what it really boils down to, is because she was a woman, nobody wanted her to win. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay. I mean, there are other things, but I think for the most part, it's people just because she's a woman. Like a lot of female Trump supporters, they said, "Oh, I could never do anything like that, so that means she couldn't, and she's not fit to be president because she's a woman." That is actually what they were saying. There was too much.
I remember reading
Yeah.
some. Like I do remember reading like comments.
Yeah,
of
it's one
people
of
saying,
it's one of those subtle biases that you have that you don't even think about.
my girlfriend even sent me like a screenshot of one of her
Uh huh.
Facebook friends saying that.
Yeah, yeah.
And she's like, "This is the world we live in at the moment."
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Trump saying she doesn't have a presidential look, and being asked what he meant by that, and all he could say was, "I said she didn't have the stamina."
The stamina.
She was in those hearings about Benghazi, all of them, over 10 hours long. I think one of them was 14 hours long, 19, something like that. And she was there, and she was good to go for the entire thing. And let's face it, when was the last time you did anything over 10 hours that wasn't sleep? Well, I mean, not you, but like the American people as a whole. I guess more, for the better part of a day. That wasn't sleep or drinking. Because again, remember, we have a different idea of what it means, like, to work than the people who
Right.
voted for Trump.
Right.
And so while you and I could probably work 12 hours a day for however many days a week, most of his supporters aren't even going to be willing to do 3 hours out in the fields.
Yeah. Let's go to a different one.
Yeah, sure. I feel like I got a little too heated.
Okay, no, but it's about to get heated again.
Oh no.
Because I guess just going into the different thinking.
Before I forget, I'd like to point out, because I badmouthed Trump and defended Hillary, my brother Joseph is no longer talking to me.
Well, that's nothing new, though.
Yeah, I mean, we had patched things up for a while. Well, I say that it was really more like I don't know. It's hard to describe.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Political correctness.
Oh, jeez.
Do you think... Okay, because I'm not against it or anything, but I think maybe it also played a role for people selecting Donald Trump.
I think so, yes. Like, okay, here's the thing. I hate the term political correctness.
Because you could also refer to it as common human decency.
Yeah. Like, that's what it should be as, or like thought as and referred to as. But my friend Tyler, whom I was just hanging out with, and he's a dear friend of mine and all, but every time he sees something where, say, a woman is now in the role that a man was previous, even in comic books where a lot of this is coming from, for us, our generation, I feel, or at least the people we hang out with, like, my ears. I pointed out.
Did something happen?
Oh no, it's just like the volume for your thing went up. Anyway,
Is it up now? Also?
No, I think it's good.
It's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I pointed out we were at Barnes & Noble, and I was looking at the Sam Wilson Captain America comics, because they're some of my favorites right now.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah, I know. I still haven't found the one where he deals with the Serpent Society, I think it is. I don't remember.
It's the very first one.
Oh, okay. I cannot find it anywhere. Anyway, he looks at it, and he says, "Why did they ruin Captain America? This is political correctness gone mad." Oh. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's showing that all of us can do anything.
Yeah.
It's like saying the only reason President Obama won is because political correctness.
Right. Here's the thing. He won 2 terms.
Yeah, exactly.
If you wanted to get rid of him, like, for the second time, you would have gotten rid of him the second time.
Right, and you didn't.
Oh.
because he was the only one qualified. And then this time they just completely said, you know what, beep that.
And I think that was because I think that's what surprised me about this election when I was first the whole accounting of the votes when I was first watching it, is because I remember that Romney Obama election, like during the election day, it went by really fast.
Yeah, it did.
I remember Obama just got California. I was like, oh, he won. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Okay,
awesome. Like they called it early.
Yeah. I was
And
like, I
one,
didn't.
yeah, we almost had to wait until Alaska and Hawaii had been counted and all that.
And even then, people were already, yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, it was too late. And then even though she won the popular vote, in the end, it didn't even matter.
Oh.
I don't get to quote Linkin Park that often, but I'll take every chance I can. But yeah, political correctness. I feel like it was a knee-jerk reaction on the other side. You know, but
yes,
Republicans as a whole are people who are subtly misogynistic or hate Latinos and black people because they're minorities. Mm-hmm. And that's...
Or they're seeing like a power shift slipping away.
Yeah, they don't want to give up this power that they think they have. And by power, I mean equality. Mm-hmm. Did you see any of Jordan Klepper's interview with some Trump supporters?
No, I think no.
It was after Trump said that he would defend, quote unquote, the rights of the LGBTQ plus people, and he asked, quote unquote. I'm doing that because I do the finger quotes and you say quote unquote. Anyway, he asked his supporters to do the same. So Jordan Klepper went out to a rally for Trump and asked if they would. And all of them said no, and that they should be glad with what they get, and that's what they want. They want more. And Klepper looks at them confused and says, by more you mean equal. Yeah, they want that, and they can't have it. That's what they were saying.
Remember that.
And that's where the political correctness comes from. Not that, not our side, where we're trying to be decent human beings and show that it's not the color of your skin, but the content of your character. It's the other side using that as an excuse to maintain the status quo.
Okay. Hold on.
At least that's how I look at it.
Okay. And I'll tell you maybe from the viewpoint that I've seen that political correctness might have played into Donald Trump's campaign. Because they are changing times, and with it... a
lot of backlash.
A lot of backlash towards it. But there's also... People can also go overboard about maybe some of the things that might be sensitive to.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. Do you remember that one little girl? I say little girl, but she was in college and she was yelling at this one white guy who had dreadlocks, saying, "How dare you appropriate my culture?" And everybody's like, "You do realize that dreadlocks are like almost universal, right? Like ancient Egypt, the hieroglyphs, their people are depicted as having dreadlocks. Like even Egypt up until the Persians took over. Like it's not a Black American thing, like, and I kind of sort of agree with the moniker, the social justice warrior, because it's meant to be like mocking, and I agree. It's that knee-jerk reaction that the other side has, only it's making our side look bad the way theirs does, just inverted. It's like the Flash and Reverse Flash.
Right.
That's what's going on.
I think that's kind of what I was getting into. Yeah. Like, there's like a lot of complications and a lot of things that probably go into learning about this this growing world that I think at that point people just were confused or just didn't want to understand or anything, or
Yeah.
didn't want to put any time to. And I'm someone who's like very much like the different genders or whatever. It is something that confuses me.
Mhm.
I don't care.
Yeah.
You do you. That's always my
You
philosophy.
do
is like,
you, and I'll
you
do
you.
me.
Yeah,
and we won't do each other.
Yeah,
Probably.
we'll get along fine.
Yeah.
I don't care what you believe in or whatever.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
you're not getting in my way. I'm not gonna get in your way. And I really do wish people would adopt that kind of thinking.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to agree with it, or you don't have to fully understand it.
You just have to accept that there are different people from you, and they deserve the right to live.
Right, in the way that they want to live.
Yeah.
And,
Now, if they want to go around, like, slaughtering babies and wearing their skin, yeah, put a stop to that, but...
If they're getting into your face about something, and you literally
tell them off,
Yeah, tell them off or whatever.
But you can't, assault them for it, unless they assault you. That's a different story.
That also requires effort of keeping your mouth, shut.
Yeah, and let's face it...
they can't. Nobody.
Yeah, nobody seems to be able to do that.
And that's why I believe, maybe political correctness also kind of went into this thinking, because this is also a moment where the LGBT is kind of... It's a lot safer to come out at the moment.
It's safer.
Yeah, safer. I didn't say it's safe.
Yeah, no, it's not nearly safe. Like, if you want to come out to somebody, I'm more than happy to listen. So,
and there are support groups.
Yes, there are very many. When I upload this, I'm going to hopefully remember to put some links in the description for all of this, because I've seen the responses to Trump's election, and there are a lot of people that are genuinely afraid and are actively considering suicide as a potential answer, and I cannot stress this enough that is not the case. And I really hope that that if someone out there, you or someone you know is out there, don't give him that kind of power.
And yeah, because I don't even know. How do people proceed forward from this?
I don't know. All I know is we've just got to keep moving and pray that we end up going in the right direction.
What do the Democrats do right now?
Yeah.
What should they actually do?
They need to figure out a direction to go in and be united. Hillary, like I said, she torpedoed the Democratic Party almost as badly, if not more so, than Trump did when he did all that stuff that he did. The only difference is, they were able to overcome their differences between who they wanted to win and who they ended up having to go for, and they showed up in droves that we could not have imagined. And that's who won, not Trump. Those people and their hate mongering and their fear mongering, and just all of that.
It's also with Trump. He figured out how to
push buttons,
destroy the system.
Yeah, he was that asteroid. Mm-hmm. To our political system that we needed to have about a week ago.
Yeah, that meteor should have arrived.
Yeah, I mean, the next one I don't think is until 2027 or something. Well, actually, no, I think there's another one that's there's one that's supposed to be in the next couple of years, and then either it loops back around and tries again, or there's another one on the way after that.
But, wow, it's really looking like the early 2000s now.
Yeah.
Think about it. Brexit.
Uh-huh.
That Filipino guy.
Yeah, I wish I could remember his name. Yeah, what were we saying earlier? we've basically got the three major hitters of the Axis
The
powers.
Axis, yeah.
Like this time we're Nazi Germany. We have our Hitler. Mussolini is the guy in the Philippines, and we couldn't really decide what Putin was supposed to be.
Yeah, it was like, I don't think he really is the, god dang it, who's the emperor of, no, it wasn't the emperor, was he?
Of Japan?
Yeah.
Oh shoot, what was his name? Hirohito?
Hirohito, yeah.
He's not quite that.
He's not that.
Because, well, no, I guess he could kind of sort of be considered.
Kinda, sorta.
Was there another, like, European political power that went with the Axis?
Not any major ones that I can think of.
Yeah, I can't think of one either, but that's the closest equivalency we have.
And,
but, yeah.
It's very much looking like George Bush times.
Yeah, only
Junior.
worse. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
only
because
I don't believe, because I never believed that George Bush had actual hate in his heart.
No, he if you look at everything he did, like, he was doing the best he could with the worst possible situation, with the worst possible tools that you could be given for those.
With probably surrounded the worst people to be surrounded with.
Yes, that too. And he did a remarkable job trying. I would say in many regards, too many regards, he failed, but it wasn't through his own action that he failed. Everything was set up against him. Mm-hmm. And that's why I always play devil's advocate when it comes to him, even though I think he's not the greatest president. I wouldn't say he's a great president, but he did a good job with what he had, and it wasn't enough.
So, what kind of culture are we getting into as soon as Donald Trump arrives? And do you think, do you think Donald Trump will actually do anything that he promises?
I think a few things he will. But
I don't think that wall's getting built, though.
That wall will never be built, and I feel terrible because I don't know if you know or heard yet or not, but the peso dropped in value during the election.
Jeez.
Yeah, once he started winning a bunch of states, it dropped, and I felt terrible because it was like a preview of what was going to happen here, because I'm sure in the short run, maybe that first year, it's going to look like to some people that we're coming out ahead, we're on the way to recovering and then gaining, and it's just going to implode. It's going to be like the recession that happened. You remember the housing crisis? It's going to be the exact same thing, but it's going to be on a wider scale, and it's going to have farther reaching effects, I think, even though it won't be as drastic a change, because how much money was it that had evaporated in an instant, and we have no idea where it went?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I want to say it was like $3 trillion or something.
Do you think gay marriage will be repealed?
At the federal level, probably not. But I think if he actually does get through to them and they allow it to be a matter for the state to decide, yes, I think that's going to be out the window.
Obamacare. I think that's definitely gonna.
Yeah, I think so too. And what kills me the most is this is another thing that's the Republicans' fault. Mm-hmm. It's not that Obamacare is expensive. It's that the Republicans are doing all the shady things that they can in order to get the prices to go up for the healthcare system. More expensive doctors or medicines and such, so that they can say, see, the president's healthcare plan doesn't work. And here's the thing. If it's gone, there are going to be millions of people that don't have any sort of access to medical care of any kind whatsoever. And instead of spending, like an extra $100 thanks to the Republicans, you're going to be spending probably thousands of dollars on trips to the ER that otherwise you wouldn't have been spending as much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sure, they're going to see it as a win if it gets, undone, but it's only going to hurt them. Because the people it's taking away from are the ones who need it.
Okay, so...
You know what I mean?
Yeah. How do you think his supporters will react for some of the things that he doesn't, accomplish?
Okay, the wall, I think, is the first thing they're going to have to react to and accept that it's not going to happen, and that our illegal, quote-unquote, immigrant problem is not something that you can just say, oh, we're going to put up a wall and that'll be the end of it. I know a lot of comedians like to joke, the tunnels are already there, and you're just going to increase business for 41-foot tall ladders.
Do you remember that clip where he goes there's no way they can get through that wall?
Uh-huh.
Well, maybe a ladder.
Yeah, I remember that one. And
even he kind of just showed, I was like, well, I guess you could use a ladder or maybe some rope.
Yeah, and some rope. And, I mean, let's face it, we can be some MacGyvers.
Mm-hmm. I've MacGyvered a couple of things.
Yeah, no, I used to all the time as a child, and I need to get back into that. Duct tape will save your life.
Third-party voting, do you think it hurt this election?
I don't think so, which is surprising. I really thought it was gonna. I don't know if this is 100% true, but it wouldn't surprise me in the least. A lot of write-in votes for Harambe.
Mm-hmm.
There were a ton for Bernie Sanders, even though he besmirched, not besmirched, beseeched, there we go, that's the word I wanted, his followers to support Hillary because we needed to be united. And they said, no, I'm going to vote for Trump out of spite.
Yeah, I never understood those people.
Yeah, I don't either. The closest comparison I can make to kind of sort of understand it, it was on the Daily Show not too long ago, where they had one of the correspondents ask a bunch of young African-American voters who they were going to vote for. And it was because they were undecided, and they're like, how can you be undecided at this point? It's Hillary or someone that's going to make your life worse than it already is. And their reasoning was, and I kid you not, because there wasn't a black candidate.
Oh God! Don't say that.
That was.
Don't say that. You are giving.
Yes.
You are giving those people ammo when you say that.
Yes, exactly. I keep telling my brother, and I'm sure he's getting annoyed by it. If you truly believe in a third party candidate, go for it. I would expect nothing less from you. Realistically, we all have to understand that a third party candidate, an independent of any kind, is not going to win because they're not going to get the exposure in this two-party system that we have. But if you're a staunch Democrat and you can't decide between your party and its best interests for the nation and someone that will actively beep it up, the problem isn't the people you have to vote for. It's you. When it comes to voting, it shouldn't be about who you want to win. It should be about who is best for this country, not for your ego. Because a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, what's the point of voting if the person I want doesn't win? Well, you're not voting for that person so that they win. You're voting for that person so that you can lord it over somebody else. Like, I'm not a part of the political congestion. You're just adding to it. You just want to pretend that your excrement doesn't smell.
Do you think Donald Trump will actually
survive his presidency?
Will last the the full 4 years, or do
Um,
you see him possibly just resigning?
I think he won't resign, but he well, okay, no, I take that back. I think he will resign, but he'll try and get impeached so it looks like they're still rigged against him. And
Mm,
that way he gets to play the victim because he's really good at that.
right, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
rather than just say, well, no, I don't want to do this anymore, you make it look like, no, I would do it, but the system won't let me.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the only thing I could see him doing because he's the biggest crybaby on the planet.
Okay.
How could you vote for somebody who had to have his Twitter account taken away the days before the election? That's not a president. That's your what, 4-year-old niece playing with your phone.
Okay.
Real quick. Miga here. He has a daughter. I was
Yay.
talking to my mom. Yeah. She is our only hope.
Hmm.
I was talking to my mom this morning because I woke up super early after not sleeping and wanted to talk to her and spend some time with her just in case something happened.
Hmm.
Thankfully, nothing did. Anyway, as she's getting ready to leave, I turned to her and I said, Mama, how am I supposed to look into the daughter of Miga's, you know, little family? Like, how am I supposed to look her in the eye in a few years and explain to her what happened? And then she looks at me like, I wish I had the answer. And we ponder it for a moment and like, and then I say, I can't even imagine how he must feel about it.
Yeah, I don't. The only reason I'm not as bummed out as I
Mhm.
initially was before is like she probably won't understand, and
Yeah.
my hoping is that she'll probably have a better memory by the time Trump is gone. Like
Yeah.
that, her memory will probably be at her.
Yeah.
She'll finally start remembering stuff by the time he's gone.
Yeah. That's a good way
Well,
to look at it. But even
hoping
then, yeah, hoping.
he's gone.
Unless he becomes president for life,
He-
which
But
is
I don't.
entirely possible.
I don't see him doing the two terms though.
I can't see that happening either. I really don't see him lasting more than like 2 years in, and then we just kind of redo everything in the midterm elections. Oh man. But like even with that in mind, like anytime like I go to visit you guys, and you know I'm there, that thought's always going to be in my mind is that she was born into a country where they voted this man to be president, and I will never again, I think, take pride in this country as long as
Right.
this kind of thing is acceptable. And not just acceptable, but lauded and applauded and cheered for.
And
And that hurts.
yeah, I know. I had to stop recording on my side
Oh,
because
sorry.
yeah. No, it's fine. Okay, well. Okay, it gave me a warning thingy, but it stopped recording. Whatever.
Yeah,
We'll
mine's
we'll
been
use
doing
your
that too.
stuff.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Mine keeps having like little warnings too.
Mhm. But hopefully she won't remember it.
Hopefully.
Hopefully he'll be gone by the time she gets her memory.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I had those thoughts when I looked at her.
Uh-huh.
When all last night, all I could do was just binge watch on videos of her cooing and stuff.
Yes. You have no idea how much I appreciated that little clip. I watched it so much that it burnt off all the data I had left on my plan.
You could have saved it.
I could have, but I did. But unless it's, I don't know. My phone's weird, and I didn't have that much data anyway. It was only like 500 megabytes, but still, like it downloads however much, and then anyway. But I really needed that. Like It's amazing. Despite all the turmoil in our country right now, like it's kind of funny to put like all this on a little tiny baby's shoulders, but she's kind of an anchor right now.
Yeah. And
to kind of keep things in perspective, like even though we lost right now, we can come back from it, and we can make this place someplace for her to be proud of, and I think that's the greatest gift we can give to her.
Mm-hmm.
The only gift. Well, that and the lightsaber, because I've already decided if I die, she gets the best lightsaber I own. And then she can avenge me or something. I don't know.
But
one of my turtles is trying to crawl out of his tank.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I can think is that he knows that Trump won and he wants to escape.
He wants to go back to the water.
Yeah.
But
I can't let him do that.
Wow, we didn't elect a female president though.
Yeah, I was so shocked and disgusted.
It's gonna be a while.
Yeah, there's no way we're gonna have that option again, I don't think, for at least the next 2 or 3. And that's being very generous.
I'm gonna have to tell my daughter that one day, though. That is.
Yeah. That's what's always going to be in the back of my mind. The only chance we have, I think, oddly enough, is if the First Lady Michelle Obama, and if somehow he's still alive,
George Takei.
With that too, I was gonna say Bernie or Joe Biden decide to run. Man, I can't imagine. You realize that Vice President Joe Biden must feel like Peter in that first bit of Spider-Man where his uncle gets killed because of his inaction. Because everyone wanted him to run for president. And he said, no, I need time off. And he absolutely did. What he went through was tragic for anyone. And he needed to get away from everything. And but you know, you look at him, you can see that he really regrets everything that's happened since then.
And just trying to finish it off.
Yeah, sorry. I kind of go off on tangents, but I guess it's kind of what we're here for.
Yeah. Sadly, my recording thingy wouldn't do that.
Aww.
But what I saw when it became apparent that she was going to lose, that Trump was going to win, is people actually. This didn't happen with Romney. Like people, there wasn't like any true vitriol against Romney.
No.
But when someone gets, you're not supposed to shake in fear and wonder what will happen to you.
Right.
When someone gets elected. Like I feel like if Romney had gotten elected, I would have said, "Well, that sucks."
Yeah.
I don't think my initial thought wouldn't have been like, "Oh, now people are going to go after me."
Yeah, no. And my one friend, I was telling her, like, you're not, I understand she's a woman and everything, but you're not a minority, so you don't understand what it's like. There are genuine fears, and there are very real consequences that are only going to affect us. And she said something along the lines of, yeah, I'm not a minority or anything, but I still don't think it's that big of a deal.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, and that we need to get over it, and that protesting...
Oh, there's no getting over it.
And that protesting and all that doesn't change anything.
It won't, but it makes us feel better.
Yeah, well, I mean, we could change something. We just need to change enough to where, like, the real change can happen.
And I hate the saying that's going on right now. It was like, just give him a try. I'm like, what?
What?
I'm a Hispanic man who, this man has been, like, calling a lot of things to my own community, like a bunch of horrible things. At what point was what point did he give me? Okay, did you give Obama a chance?
No, they didn't. They still don't. They still say he was born in Kenya, that he's a secret Muslim, that he's going to come and take their guns away, and all this other things, death panels. They still talk about that to this day.
So this is what's going to happen. You called our first lady an ape. You you said horrible things to our president. You won't even call him our President Obama. You'll call him Barry.
Yeah, and that's disrespectful. That one lady on that she had like the YouTube channel or whatever, and now she's on some American news station.
Mm-hmm.
She keeps using that, and she thinks she's intelligent, and I understand that she does research, and I'm sure she does have information, but she is one of the dumbest people I've ever seen.
And so for this I say, oh, get you having the opposite be done.
Yeah.
Because I am not calling Donald Trump President Trump.
No, absolutely not.
I am calling him Trump. I'm calling him Donald. I'll call him Asshat.
I'll call him the dump.
The dump.
Because it's like Donald and Trump together.
Yeah.
It saves time.
And anything that you're saying that's very disrespectful to our president, well, you weren't very respectful for the last president.
No.
Either, were you? So why should I be respectful for this one?
Especially if he's no real president. You might have elected him, or they might have.
But
he
wasn't he wasn't elected by the people.
Yeah, I know, but it wasn't like he's not the. He wasn't. In my mind, he wasn't the real winner. There is no winner here.
Nobody was going to win this election.
No, but...
Even if Hillary had won, I wouldn't have felt that great about it either.
Yeah, but at least our civil liberties and our safety, being what it is, would not feel like we were in danger. Now, I'm sure there would have been reprisals because, a lot of people are like, oh, it was rigged, and lash
yeah, but
out.
you always get those.
Yeah, and this is very different. This is people looking at someone who can say and do all these things and like, well, if he can, so can I, and then...
The biggest karma Houdini.
Yeah. Our only hope is that he dies of a heart attack or has a stroke.
And I never like wishing that to people, though.
Now, well, I'm not wishing. I'm just saying, that's our only hope.
The fact that to top it off, to anyone listening who's like, wow, you don't like Trump or blah, 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 you're making this about race. I'm like, Donald Trump was never...
Anything
Donald Trump was
race.
never my... No, but he was never my concern.
Yeah.
Donald Trump was not who I was bothered by. Donald Trump was not like someone I was like, oh, I'm really afraid of him. I was the only fear that I had of him is his supporters.
Yes.
The people who actually like the message he was giving. Like, for me, I always thought like maybe he was just one giant troll, and he could still be.
Yeah, he could be. He's done this before, running for president, but each time it was like to promote his book or whatever at the time, and I think that's what happened. And it just turned out that this time there were so many disenfranchised people, which is funny to say because the Muslim population and Latino and African American, they're all disenfranchised on a daily basis by the white majority, and that's where you get these extremists. But the thing is, they're disenfranchising themselves and blaming us for it.
Did you see that chart that was going around about what group of people voted for who?
I think so, yeah.
And everybody else had voted for Hillary, or the majority of the people had voted for Hillary. Mm-hmm. But then you head to the white males and the white females section, and
I keep telling you, that's where a lot of our problems are right now. It's not because they're white and we're not or anything. It's they were raised to think that we're somehow inferior, and the fact that we want to be treated as equals is scary to them. Because if we're treated as equals, that means that they're losing something.
Okay.
But they
last word.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, go. No. Keep
I was
going.
going to say, if it feels like they're losing something because we're gaining something,
right?
And it's not true
at all,
in any way, shape, or form. Go on.
Okay, some last words. Do you want to go or should I?
No, you go ahead. I feel like I hogged most of this anyway.
No, because I also think that you did bring a lot more to this subject than I probably did.
Oh,
So maybe
well,
you should definitely have the last word. I'm just gonna
sure.
top off myself.
Okay.
It's very much scary moments
Mm-hmm.
that are coming,
Yeah.
and
Darkness approaches.
darkness approaches. But we also, it is such a bad thing to say, but creatively we're about to get really, really good
Yeah, I think so.
in all sorts of media. You're about to see a high surge of things.
Yeah.
Because usually, like, the best stuff actually comes from conflicts such as
Yes.
these, or when people are oppressed.
Uh-huh. And they find ways to lash out without causing, like physical turmoil.
I do believe
Hmm?
we'll get back on track. I do believe it'll happen,
I think so.
but just to think that potentially 4, maybe 8 years we have to endure,
Yeah.
and the fact that there is a chance that people will take it too far
Mm-hmm.
and attack people, and there's always that risk, and people who don't think that's just being like it's just a point of hyperbole, I think are kidding themselves.
Yeah. I mean, after 9/11, how many people were attacked and even killed by
there's
by overzealous white people and others, but mostly white, that were not even Muslim. The Egyptian Sikhs and Sunnis and such that were killed because they looked like they might have been from the Middle East or, anything like that, and that they weren't. So they kill an innocent man or harm an innocent woman to get back at somebody that they had nothing to do with. I saw a really depressing screen cap of this young Muslim American woman whose mother said, please do not wear your hijab in public. Please do not.
I remember that, yeah.
And it broke my heart because I said something similar to my mom. Like, I was genuinely afraid that something might happen to her because, like, even if nothing physically happens to her, she's a school counselor, a bilingual counselor.
Yeah.
So if he or they are in any way serious about, these deportations, her job's basically gone because there won't be any of them here.
Right.
And they might leave on their own. You remember what happened in Arizona when they passed that one law?
Right, the you have to have your
Yeah.
it was wow, another Hitler thing.
Yeah, it was exactly the same thing. Yeah. This little ID card is basically the Star of David. They just don't have to wear it. They have to have it on them. But even then, that's not much of a difference. And, you saw... And then my favorite thing about that, which is a horrible thing to say, but, like, their economy in Arizona just completely plummeted after they all left. And it was... Oh, my gosh. But I was telling my mom, like, if something happens and I'm not there for her, like, physically not there... I was giving her tips on proper, like, self-defense techniques. I gave her, in her car right now, where hopefully she can reach it at any time, is my crowbar.
I brought it back to school.
Yes.
I didn't, like, take it into the school,
Right,
but
no,
I put it in my car.
Yes. And I showed her, and I made sure she saw and studied the proper way to hit someone with a crowbar to do the most amount of damage in case something happens. Not because I was overreacting, but because she might need it. And I think these are the most poignant closing words we could possibly give in regards to this election. Like, whether you love him or we fear his supporters, the fact that our being alive in this country is threatened supersedes and dare I say trumps anything you feel. And I urge all of us, when the time comes, to stand up for what we believe in and stand together. Because if we don't, I mean, you saw what happened. Divided, we fell.
Mm-hmm.
And we fell as hard as Icarus.
Yep. Actually, I think those are good.
Oh, thanks. That was me, like off the cuff, off the top of my head. I'm surprisingly good at ad-libbing.
There's a lot to talk about.
There is a lot to talk about in
and
regards
we
to this
might
year.
do another video.
Yes, I think we absolutely should. Like in the next couple of weeks or something.
Because I was going to say, because we don't know, we still haven't seen the full fallout of all of this.
Yeah, we need to discuss more about like just the ramifications
one
of this.
day is not enough.
No, this was a good start, and I think we covered a lot, and I hope that everybody stayed to listen to all of it.
And there might be people who got angry and then just left.
If you got angry and left, well, I guess you can't hear this, but if you got angry and stayed, I applaud you, sir. Not in a sarcastic way at all, but the fact
not
that
at all.
Yeah, no. If you stayed
disagree
and you listened,
with all you want,
and that's why this country is so, or it had so much promise. But if you stayed and you listened, despite disagreeing, even though I disagree with you, you have the potential for, excuse me, making a great deal of change in this country. I just hope that when that time comes, you choose correctly.
I think that's good.
Yeah, I think so too.
One last recommendation.
Yes.
Van Jones. Never before have I seen so much of what this has all been about encapsulated into one man. Have you not listened to what Van Jones has said?
Not yet. No, I've been meaning to, but I
do it because you'll. He does a good job.
I'll probably cry.
You will. Anyways, guys, I can't believe the most heavy one we had to do first for this.
Yeah, I feel like we had to though.
I wasn't even planning on doing it this early, this project this early.
Yeah, I was thinking we might wait until the end of December at the earliest. But I think right now, when the wound is fresh and the fear is settling in, yeah. That way, later when we can come back to it and we're rational, we can see just how different things between how us and what happened is. And our views in the future compared to now. I think that's important.
And we promise, guys, probably the next topics we'll cover for what happened in 2016.
Yes.
Weirdly enough, will be a lot brighter.
Yeah, I know. Despite all the setbacks we had earlier in the year, I feel like after we looked at all this, the absolute worst this year had to offer. There's nowhere to go but up. But we
celebrity deaths.
Yeah, but we have a long way to go.
Yeah. So,
yeah. Until next time.
Yeah.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, scholars.
Yeah. No, that's the intro.
Oh. Okay.
I just hope there is a next time.
Hopefully. Stop recording.
Goodbye.
Bye.